viewers. My name is Kenneth Bird. My company is Black Series Edition LLC. We're going to be doing a few demonstrations on our black technology. So this is our advanced ambient light rejection 48, and this right here is a Black Series Professional Black Cinema 1. We call it Black Cinema 1, Professional Cinema 1 for short. So this technology right here has the ability to pull up in fully lit environments, produce beautiful, beautiful images, beautiful white levels, beautiful color without calibrating, without being stuck in dark environments. And one of the things I see when I'm just now seeing some black screen paint products, which you have to be careful now. We have to put warnings on that and do demonstrations on that, on what customers should watch out for when it comes to black screens is corner to corner. So you see from corner to corner on my technology, my screen is at 159 inches, 1610. It's quite big. It actually almost hits the floor if you look at it. And I can project from corner to corner. Also too, you have to watch out for is dark environments. Our screen comes right close to the ceiling, as you can see. We got our overheads on, cat sitting in the window, got the blinds open. And then over here, you can see my blinds are fully open, plenty of light transferred to the screen. My projector sits back at around 21 feet from the screen. And I'm using my old Chrissy LW501i. That projector I only paid around $200 for, or $270 for it. That's basically about it. So let's show you how amazing this technology is. Now, we already know that the technology can pull 100% contrast level, which is most important. What I don't see in a lot of these demonstrations is really high white and bright levels. And when you do show something that has some color to it, it's still, as you can see, dark around the edges, extremely dark, and that's something you don't want. Soundbar. I'm going to be attaching another soundbar pretty soon. When it comes to projector technology, again, whether it's our gray technology, our dark silver, or the technology we have on our black technology, you should be able to use your projector in a fully lit environment without your screen washing out or fading. And most of all, you shouldn't have to spend tons of money for a projector to put back in for what the screen can't do. Now, sad thing about it is the black paints I have been seeing, pretty much there's no testing whatsoever. There's a ton of testing that is required for black technology. There are white level tests that have to be done, different calibers of projectors, how they compare to certified screens. We call it the black on black, which you can have to test your product against several different forms of black surfaces, as a black paint and black fabric and so forth. And all these demonstrations must be done live on camera. So that's where it clearly shows that the the person who's manufacturing the product is not faking it. So that's why online demonstrations are extremely important. Well, live demonstrations are extremely important.
Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is every single time you take a bite,
my projector behind me is a Chrissy 505. So I'm sorry, it's an LW 505 or 501. Sorry, 501i. This projector, like I said, I paid $270 for. It is around WXGA at 1920 by 1200, full 1080p projector. Like I said, my price tag for my projector was $270. Let's get something else. That makes this drive me a little crazy.
You be in love with someone you're lying to?
So we're doing some videos today. I'm going to be showing you a couple of companies that make black products and what you need to watch out for. Corners on the screen are supposed to come up edge to edge. And they're supposed to operate in fully lit environments. Of all screens that should be operating in fully lit environments, a black one should be one of them because they can absorb the most light. If you see a black screen in a peppered out dark environment, there's a problem there. That means the screen can't generate enough white light in order to produce an image. That means the white levels are extremely low. A screen with a 1.1 is extremely bad. I mean really bad. Do your research on elite screens alone, you will notice that the lowest screens are usually the white screen, the lowest gain screens are the white screens and mid-gray. As they start to rise up and darker screens, the gain starts to rise with them. Because when a screen becomes darker, it has to be to maintain a high enough white level to produce a proper a high enough gain to produce a proper white level. That's why I sat there when I saw the video, I said, he has no idea what he's talking about. This is why his screen's coming up so dark. And most importantly, they have to show test results. Can't say that enough. You have to do serious white level tests, even when you're designing and making this stuff, because you have to make sure your white levels hit into a certain balance so it picks up. We got people now that are just making black paints, pushing them on a product and saying, here you go, it's done. And it's not done. It hasn't been properly tested. Perfect example. See the King of the Beast sitting here? You see how the background is 100% black? That's why I put the mat on the floor here. See how it matches the mat? See how it matches my sound bar? All that matches the background. See how the line pushes through, how it's nice and bright? You can see the individual hairs. If you want to walk up a little closer, you can come closer to the screen if you want. This is what you guys are not picking up. The people are making these products, you're not picking up. That background is supposed to be 100% black. It's supposed to match my mats here. See? Matches my speakers more than it matches my mats. Now you see the King of the Beast? See all the individual hairs? Perfect white levels are pushing through. That's how it's supposed to look. It's not supposed to be dark and shadowy around the edges. You can barely see it. It's not supposed to be that way. You should be able to see the individual hairs with no problem. No matter where you see it. That's light coming in from a window right there hitting my screen. And this is what I don't see when I watch these demonstrations. I see all this darkness, this shadow. Like, you ever Photoshop an image to give it kind of a vintage look, and it gives you that circle 1960 vintage look to it, or 1920s? That's what it looks like on your screens. See how that sunlight's making contact with that screen? It's not designed to absorb sunlight, but it does have a little tad bit of that sun killer technology we embedded into it. We still advise you don't use it in Windows. doesn't phase the screen much. See the dolphin? See how you can see the reflection of the water bouncing off his body? That's the kind of stuff I look for when I look at demonstrations. Little key areas that I'm looking for. If I can't see that reflection pouring off, there's a problem there with your screen. And again, the environment is extremely important. Because if you're using it in a dark environment, guess where you're going to be at the end of the day? You're going to be in a dark environment. If they're required to use expensive projectors, guess what you're going to be buying? A very expensive projector. Our projector's marked at $270. That's it. All right, we're done here. Let's take a walk into the next room. I got a little setup in there for you. Because that projector in there is 5,000 lumens. 5,000 lumen projector. I have my projector in the next room at 11 feet from my, probably a little over 11 feet. See that little setup over there? There's my little setup, my little projector setup we have here. And this is what we have. There you go, see? Now I'm on my portable projector. This projector cost me $37, that's it. So I paid for it, 37 bucks. This is what we were talking about yesterday. I have it now on my black screen. This projector is 600 by 800, 720p SVGA at 2,800 lumens. It sits more than 11 feet in the environment. So a little setup right there. So my little Optima, take my speakers off here. Little Optima projector right here, portable. Got everything running through my power bar right here. And this is my image I put up on our black technology. That technology should react the exact same way if I had this on a 5,000 lumens. When people say, oh, he's using nothing but 5,000 lumen projectors. We can drop it down to 1,000. We have that in here too also. This is why we have so many projectors. So we can go back and forth and we can test our products on just about everything. Instead of using the exact same projector in every single demonstration. It's another thing you have to watch out for. If they're not using enough projectors, different value projectors in their demonstrations, that's a huge red flag. Because they're using the projector they're comfortable with. Call those crutch projectors. Here in my environment, we have our overhead lights on, as you can see, and we've got our windows open. As you can see objects on the other end. And that's my projector of more than 11 feet away from my screen on a projector that cost me $37. So in these demonstrations, and I watch y'all do demonstrations on y'all projectors, literally your machine costs more than what we use in our demonstrations.
Wawa's now serving pizza.
That commercial both hands at the same time. And everyone started tilting everyone.
Pizza sauce on a thin crust. Take up a
Beautiful women, 4K.
sausage or pepperoni and make pizza night a Wawa night.
Are we on the right one?
Tonight,
Or
we
okay.
Wawa.
Oh, we got them switched out. The remote controls are switched. Wait a minute. Right on top of the projector right here. So we got mine in here and set this down, which I should have did. Beautiful women 4K. That's gonna be my, for right now, that's gonna be my setup right there for right now. Today we are going down to get the putty to start working on this room right here next. This is getting painted next. Beautiful women 4K.
Getting that from YouTube.
Oh, we were just using this yesterday. Now it's no longer here. What goes on YouTube? I wonder what. All right. 4K demonstration, beautiful women.
Getting that from YouTube.
Oh, I guess you got to say the word in a certain way. It's wordplay, most of it. Now, I can't express this enough. See that background? That's supposed to be 100% black. You see people with gray screens doing this all the time, showing off demonstrations and about contrast levels only, and they will say, look, this is the way it's supposed to be. No, it's not. Your cell phone can tell you that story. If your cell phone pulls up a black surface, it's going to pull up a black surface. It's not going to pull up gray. Only projection screens do that, depending on what screen you have. Now, think about the advantage points of our technology. Number one, you really don't have to spend a lot of money for an expensive projector. Between that projector and this projector, we have spent $307 for two projectors. $37 for this one, and $270 for the one in the next room. My setup in here, once I completed in here, one of the projectors we ordered with $83. That's it, my short throw. Oh, we definitely have to have a demonstration talk about that one. So I've been talking about how these short throw projectors are now using something called standard throw. Ooh, that's going to definitely throw you through a loop. That fisheye projector with the huge lens in front of it, those are the real short throw projectors, but we'll talk about that another time. We'll do a demonstration on those. But this will show you at $37, fully lit environment, got the lights on, projector's back more than 11 feet from the screen. Let's get a measuring tape out here too, so we can basically get that on record too. Yeah, I've had to measure this room out. I had to measure actually all the floors out here because I'm covering the floors. I don't like the rug. So we're at 11 feet and some change. And my projector is sitting in the windowsill. So it's a little farther back than 11 feet. This is what we can pick up on $37 worth of projector hardware. Keep in mind, none of the projectors in either one of the rooms are using a solid hookup for HDMI. They're all using adapters. So this is all VGA to HDMI hookups. So we got our right ones here. Nope, that's the next room. I'll just put this back in the next room. Skyworth food demonstration.
Getting that from YouTube.
Conoce los nuevos Google Pixel 7 y Pixel 7 Pro con cámaras impresionantes. Con Real Tone, toma fotografías auténticas. Y con Magic Eraser, borra cosas de tus fotos. ¿Ves? Magia. Cambia y llévate el totalmente nuevo Google Pixel 7 hoy mismo.
Sorry about that. Chances are it's probably not even in here. Probably not. Oh yeah. It's $100 we don't have scissors in here either. Nope. I'll be back. I'm gonna start working on getting myself a mini projector set up. So I'm gonna get a portable projector from each company for my setups. A lot of people like using the portables. It's easy to carry around. Now keep in mind, those of you that are trying to do a gray screen versus a white screen, let me explain something to you about that one. A light gray screen versus a white screen. First things first, that's not something you want to match at the end of the day. Because again, as I said before, you want to pretty much come close to what white levels, but color in color, if you're matching a white screen color for color, this is bad for you, extremely bad. So that means they can do the same thing with the white screen, and the white screen can be far cheaper than that product. Why would I spend $100, $95, or so forth for a gray screen paint that's about the same color as my walls here, when a white screen will do the exact same thing. And on top of that, the white screen will be to maintain a higher white level on top of that. So I just might as go with the white screen. You have to show a difference on why your product is better than the white screen. I've seen people doing demonstrations on putting the valve screen, that white, wherever the screen is supposed to be at the end of the day, versus a white surface. You do not want to match that, because again, why go out and spend $700 for something when you can do it at like 68 bucks? And you can't beat it in contrast, because you're only going to have a slight little difference. That's it. No major game changer at all. So, you know. You would think for that kind of money, for what they charge for those screens, well, with gunmetal, well, the one that's $5,000 is in the range of gunmetal technology prices. That's another one I can't understand. How in the world are you trying to get $5,000 for a screen that's lighter than the complexion that we have for the screen over here, and it's costs the same money as gunmetal technology? Shouldn't it be the same color as the gunmetal? And they can't do it that way because the darker surfaces don't pick up on those particular projectors. Never seen a demonstration with those particular projectors on gunmetal. Never. You would think them engineering their own screens at the end of the day that they would make them much darker to pick up heavier contrast levels, but even they can't do that because again the projector would fail miserably, it wouldn't be able to register. So these are things we talk about in forum sites all the time, like how come they don't make the screens darker? They can't make them darker because the projector won't see it. So you're stuck pretty much with a screen that will never ever pick up a contrast level, let alone the projector doesn't even have enough power to pick it up at 3,000 to 1 contrast, which should be much higher for a projector of that price. But getting back to this right here, I go back and forth with topics, we all know that already. These are some of the tests you have to do. We've done these so many times, this is just basically just for fun. White surface, put it against the screen, show white level, see exactly where your black technology white levels lay at. As you can see, my screen is 100% black. And you can see from corner to corner at 2800 lumens, we pick up I'd say a pretty good white level compared to the white surface. And also with the white surface, because it's picking up such a high white level, it has no contrast, therefore it can't pick up color or contrast, which also fails. Has no form of ambient light rejection at all whatsoever. And I've also been to this too also. That's why we have all these test demonstrations on our site. This is why we have over 7,000 test demonstrations on the YouTube channel. Because I've been through it before. I've had people say, okay, it's a white surface, only a white sheet of paper. It's not the same as a white screen. I beg different on that one. Did that test too. Actually, when I bought a white screen, I had an Elite 0.9 white surface versus a white screen, versus a white sheet of paper, white t-shirt, white bid sheet, you name it, it was up there, and it all blended in together. You couldn't tell one from the other. There's no difference between a 0.1 and a 2.0 or 1.1 when it comes to white screens. It's all the same. Now I'm going to show you also too today on basically how people basically make black products bad. Projector trick that they use. This is why anytime when I'm basically working with somebody and they make especially after we did a batch number test on the product, showing that it clearly works, we ask for their projector settings. That's what we ask for. Because I've had that incident happen before. We had a fellow with an Optima projector and the screen was like really super dark. And I'm like, okay, so is your lamp going bad? What's going on with the projector? Can I see your settings? It was happy enough to show us the settings. Within the settings of this projectors, everything was moved all the way down to the very last. Usually, say you bought it this way, that'd be virtually impossible. When you buy a projector, it's in factory settings, which everything is split right down the middle. That's how it looks. You know, I've bought enough projectors to know this already. And if you buy them used, then pretty much your settings, or the person didn't change it back to factory settings, is at whatever settings he or she had it at. But to have them pushed all the way back to the very beginning, to zero, no. You push your contrast levels back, that would cause the screen to go extremely dark. And on top of that, like I said, we've done so much testing on black paint at the end of the day that we know exactly what happens when we see a screen that comes up looking too dark. It looks just like black paint. We've done these tests already. That's how we know. This is another reason why I can't explain this enough to people. Put out products too fast. You can't even troubleshoot your own stuff, your own products, because you haven't done any test at all.
So I just got my new scent diffuser from Hotel Collection, and I
gotta look that up. They have these like extremely expensive coffee makers, and they make it sound like if you get the best coffee in the entire world. And I've literally had coffee at freaking mom and pop stores. They didn't have expensive coffee machines, and the coffee was absolutely amazing. This is when I used to drink coffee. Let's see if anyone ever does any side-by. I'm pretty sure they do side-by-side comparisons, but I want to see. I want to watch this because I remember before we had all these fusions and all these machines. I was born in 1968, so before we even had all this stuff, at the end of the day, people still made amazing coffee. I don't know. I was around when Sanka. You remember Sanka coffee? Yeah, that's way back. That's one that came in an orange container. It looked like a detergent container. I think the biggest thing back then when it came to coffee makers, that you can pretty much time your coffee maker for what time you get up, and then the coffee will be ready to start percolating. There's the, here comes the manager. Just moves in, it's going to walk from one area to the next. It's going to come all the way in, the manager. Taco, you got to wear your bow tie. You got a bow tie and a tie he refuses to wear. You're going to be inspecting things. My wires and my equipment, how things are set up. You need to wear your freaking uniform. So it just shows you at the end of the day, you save more money with our products. I love when people say you're saving money. I'm like, where are you saving money? You have to spend the money for expensive projector to fix all the problems that the screen can't do. And then even after you do that, you still got to calibrate the machine because the colors don't come out correctly. And even worse, you're still stuck in a dark environment. So where are you saving any money at? We're in a fully lit environment with a $37 projector. Can't wait for the summer. We're going to do some demonstrations on the board. But like I said, I got it hooked up with the battery pack. I'm going to just get one soundboard. So I'm going to run all those speakers. I want everything to be convenient. And I can throw into a bag and just dash out the door. So we're going to do a 50-inch screen setup coated with the black technology here. And I'm probably gonna get another one of those projectors. I like that projector. I can get the carrying bag, the whole 9 yards, throw my adapters on it, get my fire stick and all that through the battery bank. Battery bank. And I can USB power my speakers. That's another good way to advertise your technology too, because there's a ton of sitting areas down here that I can set my little portable movie theater, order some food from the restaurant, and just chill outside and watch my movies on my 50-inch screen. Imagine the people watching that on a black surface pull up like that. It's going to be insane. And it's only a matter of time before store owners start asking me about the technology and ask if I want to install one in. That's going to happen. Definitely going to happen. My little portable movie theater setup. And since Allentown gives free Wi-Fi, which is fantastic, well, I can just log in their Wi-Fi and hook up my Fire Stick and go to town. I might get me one smaller than that. I might get me an Optima Pico projector. I've seen one of them this size of a VCR tape. That'd be even nicer. I can put it on a tripod stand. Okay, we need too much. Okay, time is perfect. I don't want these videos to be too long. I try not to make the videos that long, but there's just so much information you need to know within the day. All right, hold a minute before we do that. Let's do our. The manager's out there somewhere. I don't know. He's out there somewhere. Most likely he's in the bathroom inspecting the pipes now. Red screen.
Internet from YouTube.
This is one of the things I never ever see in any of the demonstrations. You should be seeing this. This shows you exactly how your colors are coming up. Clean it on. I keep forgetting we have that on sometimes. So this shows, this is very important. The reason why we show you the color patterns, the whole purpose of this is because when they show you different colors flashing across the screen, you really can't see what reds, blues, and greens are going to look like. This is why we show you solid color red, solid color blue. There's nothing disrupting. It's just one solid color so you can see the difference on what you're getting, what you're not getting. On a white surface, on that $37 projector, you won't pick up jack. You won't even pick up jack at 5,000 of them. It won't register or the short throw we have sitting on the floor under the screen. White screens are good, and the reason why I like white screens because again, it's a cheaper surface to paint over. Blue screen.
Getting that from YouTube.
And that's when this happens to people and they can't pick up color or they can't see contrast. The first thing they think is I got to go out and spend the money for a more expensive projector or more update projector. And then you find out you're still sitting in the same boat. You got a slight little difference, but nothing more than that. Do we have, we do have it around here, don't we? All right, people? Let's make this interesting. I'm ordering some more sample sheets. Apparently I threw mine out. Don't know what bag they went in, but I threw them out. So I am going to start ordering some more sample sheets. The ones that hurt me the most were, what these I have, my DMP Supernovas. The DMP Supernova is the hardest one to get your hands on. That it's not even in the United States, number one. And then number two, yeah, they're hard to get your hands on. They're very hard. I was lucky to get mine. All right, so here we have this is the DMP Supernova. That right there is a $5,000 projection screen. They're probably $4,000 now, but that's a $5,000 screen. Let's make sure they're not sitting together. There we go. So in our $37 projector, we have here on our Black technology, we can pick up a solid state of blue when the $5,000 screen or white surface is not picking up anything at all. There's just, man, it's just, it's interesting that if we've had more people that were doing the job correctly, I wouldn't have to explain so much on camera all the time. I really wouldn't have to explain so much. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind doing it. But some of the stuff I hear people say on camera, like, gee, where's Louise? Like, seriously, are we cracking any books? Are we going to forum sites? Are we reading at the end of the day? Are we doing any of this? We're just making this stuff off the top of our head. We have a fellow we call the philosopher. You know what I'm talking about. There's some of the stuff I've actually watched in his demonstration demonstration. He makes no sense whatsoever on camera. It's absolutely madness and bogus. When I look at that screen right there, that screen has a narrow viewing cone effect. And the way he was trying to explain it, going off topic a bit here, the way he was trying to explain that a narrow viewing cone effect is good. No, that is not good. What the freak? Why in the world would you want to buy a projection screen if you turn to the side, it goes dark? These screens try to basically minimize the narrow viewing cone effect. Some are actually pretty good and canceling out altogether. Dark Star 9s can pretty much come very close to canceling out altogether. So they're pretty good with that. But some of the screens can do it. Some screens are worse and some screens are not. But none of these screens can be used with ultra short throw or short throw projectors in any demonstrations whatsoever. It's anybody using one of these screens, and it doesn't say that it's designed for ultra short throw projector. They shouldn't be using it in a demonstration because they automatically go dark right from the door. So you can't do that. But the narrow viewing cone effect is what you don't want. Narrow viewing cone effects used to be literally so bad that when you're mounting your projector to the ceiling, what I mean by realign your projector with the screen, I'm pretty sure they don't know what this means. It means you literally would have to realign the screen so it directly fits with the projector that's positioning back and forth, because if not, you would get these dark little edges around the corners, and this would cause the screen to look extremely bad. So if the screen was a little too high, it would go dark. If it was too low, it would go dark. If it was moved to the side too much, it would go dark. It had to be right in that little nookie right there in order to get that to work correctly. Realign the screen, narrow viewing cone effect. So a narrow viewing cone effect is not a good thing. It's extremely bad. And when he was in this demonstration, I still, people are watching this in the forum site here, as the manager, and the forum site, we're just looking at like, how the freak did he pull that nightmare off? Because yes, it was a nightmare. The screen that was extremely dark, that was not picking up a high enough white level, when he turned to the side, became brighter, and the screen that was brighter, that was picking up a better level, but it wasn't black, by the way, at the end of the day, so the screen was gray, turned to the side, went dark. You figure that one out, because that got me baffled. Like, how in the world did he do that at the end of the day? It's like somebody jumping out of a plane and they land hands first with their feet straight up in the air. Like, what the frick? How did you pull that one off? Yeah, there you go. It's one of those. So, and he says our screens are dry. That doesn't make any sense. Of course the screen would be dry. I wouldn't want it to be wet. You know what I mean? So I don't get that. How your screen is supposed to look when you're doing the side by side, when you stare at the center of it, it's supposed to look the same way as to the left or to the right, or right to the left. I've gotten the mix up. But it's supposed to look the same way. So if I turn all the way over to here, that screen should look exactly the same way as if I'm sitting in front of it. If I'm on this side, it should look exactly the same. I got something for these guys who make up this fake philosophy nonsense. How about you pop over to one of these forum sites like ABS Forums, Projector Central, any one of those guys. We got a bunch of them on Facebook. There's tons of them on Facebook. Go join one of those groups and feed that philosophy nonsense to them and see how well they receive it. And I guarantee you, you will get laughed out of the room. There's nobody in that room that's going to listen to some oxygen bubble releasing nonsense at all, period. But let's get back to this. We just went off topic for a minute. So anyway, like I said before, yeah. So you can see our screen. Is the remote control on this one? Remote control. I need 2 controls here. This is why I'm down to 2 fire sticks. I literally had 10 fire sticks. I'm out. See the nightmare of having 10 fire sticks. So see in the color, the gunmetal is going to pick up a little bit better because, like I said, it's gunmetal technology. It's much darker. And yes, if you put gunmetal next to a white screen, if our screen's not even in the equation at all, period, and we just have that not side by side to the gunmetal's going to basically produce better color and better contrast and so forth. But because our screen's sitting there, that's why you're seeing the gunmetal performing on that level. Slow color changer.
Getting that from YouTube.
Now, if you're looking at this and you have a projector, which I'm guarantee is probably far better, unless you have one of those cheap little knockoff projectors, but it's far better than the projector I have behind me. We don't calibrate this projector, not ever. So if I don't have to calibrate a $37 projector and your projector is costing way over this and you're calibrating in a dark environment, that clearly shows you there's something wrong with your screen. Unless you have a projector that, again, is one of those projectors. I've heard people saying demonstrations, and you know who? The image will get better for the customer once he or she calibrates the projector. What the freak are you doing calibrating a projector that has a billion or so colors attached to it? You should never be calibrating that. So every time you switch over to a new color, that screen has to remain its color. The white screen can't register. The gunmetal registers much better than the white screen, but our technology actually registers better than the gunmetal. So that technology that sits up there at $474 for 48 ounces of painted screen size of 180 inches can outperform a $5,000 screen. Let's do the math here. 474 versus $5,000 on a $37 projector in a fully lit environment. No ambient lights. We're not ambient light controlled in here. Starfield screensaver.
Getting that from
Now, the whole
YouTube.
purpose of also two gunmetal technology is to be able to produce a much darker contrast level. That's why these screens are extremely dark. But next to a screen that's physically black, this is going to be a hard time for gunmetal to be to maintain, because the screen we have here is physically black, which means the projector behind me, because it can pick up the white levels, contrast, and color, versus the other screens, and pick up 100% contrast. It wouldn't make a difference if my projector had a, let's see, what we say, pretty low, 100 to 1 or 10 to 1 contrast. It will always pick up a contrast level as if it had 2 million to 1, but we're way over 2 million to 1. The screen's physically black. Some people say, but no, your screen can't be over 2. It's a black screen. This is basically not for customers. We get the naysayers and you can't be over 2 million to 1. Gee whiz, Louise, seriously? Do you walk around in public talking this way? You're going to tell me that a projector that has 2 million to 1 pulls a blacker level than actual physical black itself? Come on, seriously. Probably the same person sees the door that says pull and sits there and pushes on it for about a half an hour until they realize, oh, it says pull. That's a dumb, please, and like, you don't believe me, just go to forum sites and have conversations over there with the gurus, and they'll tell you at the end of the day. Go in there with that nonsense saying, yeah, it's impossible for a black screen to pull a contrast level higher than a projector that puts 2 million to 1. 2 million to 1 isn't high at all, period. This is why I know that people, when they talk about these projectors, don't know much. You ever seen JVC's projectors, barcode projectors, Roccos, those particular projectors, those are top tier machines. Christie's is also in that category also too. They're in the top tier. These are top tier machines. These are machines that you can easily spend a couple $1,000s just for a lamp. You can spend a couple $1,000s just for filters. The lenses alone can cost you anywhere from $20, $30, $40, even $50,000 for a lens. These are top tier machines. And these machines make a 2 million to 1 contrast projector look like a paperweight. They're way, way, way beyond that. And even they can't even match side by side to a 100% black surface. I had a customer of mine, really cool dude at the end of the day, didn't really think that projection screens cost that much until we pointed him in the direction of fundamental technology. He was like, gee whiz, you gotta be kidding me, that much for a screen? Yeah, that much for a screen. Home theater was not supposed to be set up for the everyday Joe. So those people understand that it was not meant for you. It was meant for the people who have money, the high class, the rich. They were meant to have these. When you had a home theater set up, you had a private movie room. That's what you had set up in your house. You had a reel-to-reel you had back there, and you had your screen that you would pull down or either pull up on a tripod, or you had a screen that came down from the ceiling, and you had a private movie room for showing your movies. A lot of the Hollywood stars had them, where they can go in there and they can watch their movies or stuff like that, or maybe they can watch other movies that they're basically doing a particular role on a particular actor. They had their own private movie room. That's where they would have. That's all that got started. And then people, bit by bit, they started making these machines for the everyday Joe. But at one point, it was not meant for you to have this. A lot of the technology you see before you was not meant for you to have. It was meant for the rich first before it became for the everyday Joe. Anybody remember RoboCop? You remember when Clarence Boddicker pulled out that little round disc about that small, about the same size as the the GameCube, that little disc, and everybody was in this, and they're just all shocked, like, oh, what the frick is that? Because we never saw a disc that small. Or some people were actually a little bit more educated in that field, probably seen them already. But yeah, that when they pulled out that little disc and he slapped it into that little player and the image popped up, everybody in there was just shocked on how amazing that system was. Never seen a disc that small before. They call them DV discs, I think that's what they're called. Digital video discs, that's what they're called, I think there are. But never even saw that kind of technology before, but the rich saw it already. They've been saw that technology a long time ago. First time I saw a shotgun with an automatic, with a cartridge, it was automatic, was in Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and if I Richard, sorry about that, and Danny DeVito, when they were being hunted down by the mercenary, and he pulled out the shotgun, slapped the clip, and I was like, what the freak is that? Automatic shotgun. What was the other one? Oh, Laserdisc, another example of things that were used in Hollywood movies that and now we have now today. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Now, before these projectors came out, you had the reel-to-reel. Then you had the giant CRT projectors that came with BMC only. Yeah, it's interesting. But like I said before, you know, the whole thing comes down at the end with the people who develop the great products. What they don't understand is the reason why people started developing these great products is because not for white levels, because at that particular time, the only screen that was running the market was white screens, white and silver in between there. So the reason why people developed gray screen paint products before any of these guys, even before I even existed on YouTube, was basically not to get higher white levels, to produce better contrast and better color, and to be to use the screen in a slightly well-lit area. That's what it's been all about since day one. And then you got these people coming out with gray screen paint products talking about the white levels, the white levels, the white levels. If that's the case, you might just get a white screen, because a white screen is going to pull a higher white level than a gray mix any given day of the week. It's all about white levels. No, it's always been about contrast and color. That's what it's been about. And since we had debates against the white wall and buying a white projection screen, and then it became a debate about basically the gray mixes, as in Goose Screen, and all these other companies were popping up with these gray mixes and stuff, and then they're great products at the end of the day, versus the white projection screen and white wall, which is better. The white screen can pull higher white levels, but the other one drops on the gray screen, but the gray screen can pull better color and contrast, and it can be used in a slightly better lit environment. And then gunmetal popped up, boom, out of nowhere. And gunmetal, now technology that pops says, hey, look, we can produce 10 times better contrast. We can actually take in 10 times more light. We have better color, and we got an reflective surface that's designed to absorb and show off our white level capabilities. But the problem with the gunmetal technology, it was extremely expensive when it launched. It's still extremely expensive. So that's why people are still using the gray mixes. And now we have black technology. Which, thanks to Black Diamond, they triggered that, because Black Diamond, when we first got their sandwich sheet, we literally thought the screen was black, and it wasn't black. It was actually a very heavy gunmetal dark screen. And I thought, if I'm going to develop a product, I want something that is better than the Diamond. I want an actual black screen. And lo and behold, 8 years of studying black technology, boom, there we got it right there, sitting right in front of you, right in front of a gunmetal screen, doing exactly what it's designed to do. Isn't it interesting? It's always been about color and contrast and ambient light rejection. Basically, as long as they maintain a certain amount of white levels and they're able to produce an image that's clear enough to be seen in a fully lit environment and maintain their colors, that is considered to be acceptable. For gray screens out there bragging about your white levels, no, you don't even pick up an actual white level. A white screen would do that at the end of the day, and silver screens actually pick up a higher white level than a gray product. So you don't know anything. Okay, with that being said, that was very educational. I try to put in some information there as much as possible. It's very important, because you got people that are out there buying for the first time. When I was out there buying for the first time, I found very little videos where people sat down and explained things at the end of the day, which I thought was quite nice, because that's how I learned things when I was actually on YouTube doing research on projectors and starting off new in this field. So for those people who basically took the time out to explain these things that I need to know, thank you so much. With that being said, I got to go. You have a wonderful day, and God bless.